Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. As a follow-up to my large eyeshadow palette collection video, today I am sharing my small eyeshadow palette collection from 2020. So these are all of the quads and quints I picked up this year, 16 palettes total, which is pretty crazy because I had 17 large eyeshadow palettes. It's a lot of eyeshadow for 1 year. Only 3 of these were sent to me complimentary. The rest I purchased myself, and once again, I am attempting to rank these from least favorite to most favorite, and this will probably come as no surprise because it was one of my 2020 disappointments. This is the Super Blue palette from Charlotte Tilbury. A very beautiful palette, very hard to work with, unfortunately. I think I've only used this a handful of times. It would probably take me 10 lifetimes to go through this palette. I'm gonna do my best to pick it up again. When I did my large eyeshadow palette video, I was looking at one of the blue shadows in the One Size Beauty palette. I think I might try to work that into a look using Super Blue. I want to try to get some of my money's worth. Now, since I've barely touched it, I basically wasted all $53. I do think the top eyeshadows are really simple and pretty. These I could definitely use up. It's just these two. The matte shade is really dark and smoky. It's a muted navy. It's not really vibrant the way the photos depicted. And then the pop shade is so sheer. You have to really work to build it up to give you that vibrant super blue. If it was called muted blue, that would probably be a better name, unfortunately. I'm gonna do my best, but this was definitely a disappointment. I wish I had saved that $53. What I could buy with that now. Next is a palette that was sent to me complimentary. This is the Huda Beauty Topaz Obsessions, and it actually has 9 eyeshadows, but I would still consider this to be a small palette. She, of course, has her huge palettes. I love these colors. They're not quite as creamy, pigmented, amazing as some of the other palettes. That's why it's ranked a little bit lower, but the color story is great. It's very easy. I mean, you can look at this palette and know exactly what you're going to create with it. I love the fact that you get 9 shadows in such a small palette. So something like this is perfect for travel. It's a bit one-dimensional, but that is the case with most of these palettes. You limit yourself when you only have a couple shades. Palette number 14 is one of the Dior holiday palettes. It's so difficult to put these in order, but this is Black Knight. The only reason this is ranked a little bit lower is because it's sort of one-dimensional, very smoky. I have no reason to wear a smoky eye at the moment, so I really have not been picking this up. But I do like the shades, I like the formula. I wish there was a little bit more variation between these shades because even though they look different in the pan, on the eye it just looks smoky. It really doesn't matter what shades you use, it's just dark, smoky eye. It's the only look you're really going to be able to create with this. And I don't typically wear a lot of silver, so I kind of nix one of the 5 eyeshadows right away. I'm hoping I'm going to get more use out of this maybe in 2021. Fingers crossed, everything's going to be getting back to normal soon. Next up is the Chanel Summer Palette. This is one of the Le Beige eyeshadow quints in the shade Warm. And I was not expecting much out of this palette because the light, medium, and deep are kind of so-so. They're very popular. I know some people really love them. They're definitely more natural, minimal makeup. They're more of a baked eyeshadow formula. So I didn't realize that these were going to be so beautiful and so creamy. And this peachy shade right here is very pigmented. So I love this eyeshadow palette. I was wearing this every single day for about a month, and then I'm sure something else was released and then I put it down. So I have not seen this in a couple months. But I need to keep this closer to the top drawer because this is just one of those trusty palettes that is so perfect for every single day, especially if you just like very natural makeup. But that's the beauty of a quad or a quint. It's the simplicity. You can pull it out. You can create a couple different looks. But this is generally not a party palette. Whenever I'm going out and I'm doing something really creative with my makeup, I'm sitting down, I'm putting in the time, that is when I'm going to pull out one of those larger palettes. That's when I go for colorful palettes, sparkly palettes, something where I have a ton of variety and the possibilities are endless. On a daily basis, I like something that's easy. I can apply my makeup in autopilot without really thinking about it. If I'm still in a haze from the morning, you know, I'm not quite awake, but I'm just getting out the door, something like this is ideal. And it's great for travel. It's just flattering. Flattering no matter what the occasion. The next two small palettes are both Charlotte Tilbury quads. And these really aren't in any hard, fast order, so I'm going to talk about both of them. Here I have Mesmerizing Maroon, and this is the Desert Haze palette. This came out over the summer. An all matte palette, if you can believe it. Charlotte Tilbury, known for her pop shades and all of her shimmer and sparkle, she finally gave us matte. And my only real problem with this quad is that these two shades look very similar. There's not a huge difference here. I feel like it looks so orangey warm on the eye, and every time I use this, it just kind of looks the same. The look is always matte orangey brown all over because you don't have much distinction there. It's never my favorite makeup look. Even on a daily basis, I want a little glam. I want a little something. I want to feel pretty. That's why I'm taking the time to do my makeup. And I always kind of feel like, meh, whenever I use this, at least by itself. If you use this with something else, like maybe one of her cream eyeshadows, you can create some really beautiful looks. You just need to incorporate something else that adds a little glamour. And then the Mesmerizing Maroon is really pretty. I don't really have any complaints or anything bad to say about this palette. I don't really reach for it. Could I have saved the $53 like Super Blue? Yeah, I probably could. The colors are really nice, but it's a very monochromatic look with these berry tones. This eyeshadow, the pop shade in this palette, is really special. I wish that was a single. I don't think she doesn't do single powder shadows, but if she did, if she ever came out with that as a single, man, that would be perfect because it is so interesting. It's kind of like this sugar plum fairy. Very beautiful. I love the texture. Her formula is great. It's very berry, and I know that's not appealing to a lot of people, but if you have green eyes, if you have brown eyes, this would be really beautiful on you. The next two small palettes are Chanel quads. This was fall 2020. Both of these are so beautiful. I love them. It's impossible to rank small palettes. It truly is. This is Candor A Provocation 362. This is 364 Candor A Seduction. So this one is a little bit deeper, a little bit more bold, vibrant. This one went on a little bit softer. So I remember in photos thinking that they looked so similar. It would be pointless to purchase them both, and then as soon as I saw them, I went ahead and I bought both. But this one is perfect for day. This one is great for evening. You have that really pretty shimmer and 3 matte shades. In this palette, you have 3 kind of soft luminous shadows and then a matte. The Seduction palette gives you a little bit more drama, but I love both of these. I haven't been using them a lot lately because I've just been picking up so many eyeshadow palettes that I forget about the previous palettes, but I loved this collection, and this formula is amazing. I don't know when Chanel changed their eyeshadows. I couldn't tell you the exact moment, but it happened, and these are great. The old Chanel eyeshadows were a bit dusty. They were more of a baked formula. They were light, luminous. I heard from a lot of people who were disappointed in Chanel eyeshadow quads. They didn't think they were worth the money because you didn't get the color payoff. These are different. It's so hard to choose favorites. I really don't know which one I prefer between the two. I think if I had to choose, I might go with this one, the Candor A Provocation palette. Just because it's a bit softer, I think it's slightly more wearable. This is not the type of palette that I would pull out on a daily basis. This is more of an evening, weekend, special occasion type of palette. If you like pinks, berries, mauve tones, this collection was perfect for you. By the time this collection launched, there were so many pink purple palettes. People were over it. Palette number 8 falls into that same color story. This is from Nars, and this one was sent to me complimentary. It's the Orgasm X palette. I love these colors. Now this palette ranks a little bit higher because these shimmery shades up here are so special. They're really creamy and beautiful. This shade right here is just stunning. For a quad, they did a really nice job because you do have some drama in this palette. This is an evening palette for sure, not something that I would pick out on a daily basis. It had been a while since I had played with Nars eyeshadows. I forgot how amazing they are. But this palette is just so complete, so stunning. If you love this color story, this palette is beautiful. And between this palette and the 2 previous Chanel palettes, the fall collection, I prefer this. It's just so special. Here I have 2 Dior quints from the summer collection. This is $8.97 Sprint and $2.87 Dive. I remember this was the Color Games collection, which one can imagine was supposed to launch this summer when the Olympics were supposed to take place. It's such a shame that everything that happened this year was postponed, but I'm glad they still brought these out. They're beautiful. These rank a little bit higher because they're fun palettes. I don't grab this that often. I really need to start experimenting with this a little bit more. Maybe I can pair this with the Super Blue palette. But I love that you have the pink, the blue, the purple. This is definitely your jewel-toned dreamy palette for fun looks. And then this palette is great. I love orange eyeshadow. Love it, especially over the summer with tan skin, maybe a poppy coral lip. It's just a beautiful look in my opinion. So I love this really vibrant orange. The browns, the pink. This one is definitely the more wearable palette of the 2. But I don't really touch this one that often either. I should pull this back out because I think this could work really nicely for fall as well. Even though these are supposed to be limited palettes, I bet you could still find these online. That's the thing with Dior eyeshadow palettes, the seasonal collections. They always kind of linger. Even if they sell out initially, they come back within a couple months. So I will look, but I bet you can still find these. I have one more Dior quints here to talk about, and then I'm getting to the top 4 small eyeshadows. Whoop, there go the brushes. This is $5.49 Golden Snow from the holiday collection. I love this palette. The top 5 palettes are all neutral, wearable palettes. That is what I love in a quad. But this palette is really great because the eyeshadow pans are huge. It's shimmery, it's just really beautiful for the holidays. These shades would be so flattering with a bold red lip, so I can just imagine getting dressed up for the holidays, throwing on your favorite red lipstick, and then creating your eyeshadow look with this. So beautiful. I love all of these shades. There's not a single shadow in this palette that I wouldn't use, that I wouldn't touch. That's another great thing about a smaller eyeshadow palette is that chances are you're going to use and love every single shadow in that palette. That is definitely the case here. There's not a single shade here that's going to go untouched. I'm down to the top 4 palettes in my 2020 small palette collection. These are in no particular order, but I am going to talk about the palette that's on my eyes today. This is also from Nars. It's the original Orgasm palette. I love it because you look at it and it's so simple, easy, neutral, wearable. All of those wonderful adjectives I could use to describe the top 4 palettes. It's simple. You have the perfect matte shade. This is a great transition shade. You can just throw that in the crease with a fluffy brush. And then you could go on the lid with either of these 2 shades right here, the pink or the taupe. And then you can use this buttercream shadow here as a brow bone highlight, inner corner highlight. And it is just a fast, easy eye that's really beautiful. You don't have a darker shade, it lacks depth, dimension, but if you did want to create a smokier look, you could just pull out another quad, pull out another eyeshadow to pair with this. But alone, this is perfect for daily use. The same thing could be said about the Copper Charge palette from Charlotte Tilbury. I run out of adjectives, so I'm going to do my best not to repeat myself, but as you can see, it's neutral. It's wearable. It's beautiful for every day. You have shimmer, matte, you have the little pop shade in there, It's just really flattering makeup. Quads like this, you could use up in its entirety. If I wanted to, I could use this every single day, go through all of those eyeshadows, and then I would truly get all $53 worth of this palette. So I think something like this is a great buy, especially if you don't have a huge collection. If you don't want a huge collection, you just want to curate a couple pieces that will work really nicely in a lot of different scenarios. Something like this is perfect. Palette number 2 might come as a surprise. I have yet to use this on camera, but it is sort of new in my defense. I'm just sort of playing around with it. This is from Byredo. It's their Corporate Colors eyeshadow palette. I love it. The shadows are so creamy, pigmented, easy to use. It's neutral, but it has depth. That's what separates this palette from the Nars and the Charlotte Tilbury, is it's not just a light neutral palette. You really get shades across the spectrum. You have this really pretty light shade. It gets deep and smoky down here, so I think you can create more variety. Of course, it has 5 eyeshadows versus 4. If you wanted to do a neutral smoky eye, you could use this palette. If you wanted to do a very soft neutral look, you can use this palette. It just depends what eyeshadows you pick up. But the texture was really surprising. I'm very impressed with this texture. It's unfortunate that the other 2 palettes from Byredo are so wild and out there. They're just not colors that I will ever use, so I'm not going to touch them. But I'm waiting patiently for them to come out with more palettes because this is incredible. For an earth tone palette, this makes me very excited and happy, and I love this really beautiful gold pebble packaging. It's stunning. I want to say this retails for maybe $62. It's that Dior Chanel small eyeshadow price point. Not outrageous, very practical. It's corporate. Practical is probably the most boring way you can describe your favorite eyeshadow palettes, but it is true. And there is something nice about practicality when it comes to makeup. It's what separates the small palettes from the large palettes. They are practical. So this is my last palette of my 2020 collection, coming in at number 1, but really the last 5 palettes were all sort of number 1. This is Warm Memories from Chanel. This launched as part of their spring collection. I love this eyeshadow palette. So beautiful. These mauve tones are really nice. They're very flattering, easy to work with. It blended so beautifully. It has this little pop of peach right here. I just really enjoyed the color story from this collection. I want to say it was Desert Dream or something like that. A really beautiful collection from Chanel, and this is one of my favorite quads. I think this is my favorite Chanel quad actually in my entire collection, not just 2020. It's very complete. You have mattes, shimmers, that pop of color right there. You have this depth color right here. You can use it as an eyeliner or create darker looks. This could be that perfect everyday palette. It's just pretty, flattering makeup. And that is my entire small eyeshadow palette collection from 2020. If you can believe it, before this year, I think I only had 3, maybe 4 large eyeshadow palettes. I really relied on my smaller quads and quints. I used them constantly. This year, things sort of changed for me. I've started to split my time between large palettes and small palettes, so I don't grab these as often as I should. They deserve more credit than they get. They're overshadowed by these large palettes that are so sexy and enticing because they are a great value and they come with so many shades and variety. For creating really interesting, editorial, fun, creative looks, larger palettes are definitely the way to go. But if you're somebody who's more minimal, more natural with your makeup, check out some of these quads. There is definitely something here that you will love. I'm not done just yet. It is day 3 of the 12 days of Christmas. So today I am giving away this Benefit Shake Your Beauty 12 Days of Benefit Advent Calendar. To enter, you must be subscribed with notifications on, follow me on Instagram at Erin Nicole TV, like and comment on this video, including your Instagram handle. The giveaway closes in 48 hours. All of the details will be down below in the description box. Good luck to everybody who enters, and that completes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. I'm very curious to hear from you guys. What do you prefer? Do you like large palettes, small palettes? Do you have any favorites from 2020? Drop me a comment. We will keep the conversation going there. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned, everything on my face, down below in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.